Most travelers see Phuket as a 3-day stopover. They see the airport, a hotel, and maybe one crowded beach. But you cannot understand an island like this in 72 hours. I decided to give Phuket 2 months of my life. 60 days to see the rain, the sun, the hidden corners, and the real people. In this video, we aren't just looking at scenery, we are living through a journey. I'll take you from the loudest streets of Patong to the silent jungles where the tourists never go. And stay tuned, because at the end, I'll reveal 2 secret locations that are so hidden they felt like I'd found a glitch in the Matrix. Let's start the clock on the best 2 months of my life. Phuket, like you've never seen it. My base camp was Patong. When you first arrive here, the humidity hits you like a warm, wet blanket. The air smells of sea salt, gasoline, and grilled meat. Patong is a giant neon beast that never sleeps. It's a city of contradictions. Modern malls standing right next to ancient tangled power lines. I remember my first walk to the beach. The sand was hot enough to burn, and the water was a deep, inviting blue. It felt like standing at the edge of the world. Patong isn't just a place, it's an energy that forces you to wake up and realize you are finally in Thailand. Welcome to the chaos. Another day, I discovered Banana Beach. It's surprisingly close to Patong, yet it feels like it's on a private island. To get there, you have to find a small path hidden behind the trees. Once you step onto the sand, you see water so clear you can count the stones on the bottom. It's a small, crescent-shaped cove, shaded by tall palm trees. There are only a few people there, mostly locals or travelers who know where to look. I spent the afternoon swimming and reading under the shade. It's the kind of place that reminds you why Phuket was called the Pearl of the Andaman. Some secrets are meant to be shared. Find your paradise before the map changes. Back at my hotel, I saw a catalog for the James Bond Island tour. I knew I had to go. At 7 a.m. sharp, the bus arrived. The excitement in the air was palpable as we headed to the pier. After an hour of waiting, our speedboat arrived. The engines roared and we flew across the water. Our first stop was Khai Island. It's a tiny speck in the ocean, but it's packed with energy. Colourful shops, jet skis splashing around, and bars selling drinks in pineapples. It's like a miniature carnival, floating in the sea. We swam with hundreds of tropical fish that weren't even afraid of us. It was the perfect start to a legendary day. Grab your gear, the ocean is calling. After the sun of Khai, we headed to a place that felt like another planet. The Ice Cream Cave. The entrance is a dark hole in a massive limestone cliff. Inside, the stalactites hang down like melting vanilla ice cream. The cave is cool, damp, and filled with the echoes of dripping water. Outside, I saw them. Monkeys. They looked cute, but the guide was dead serious. Keep your distance. They are wild and very protective. It was a reminder that despite the tourists, this is still a wild land with its own rules. The contrast between the dark cave and the bright green jungle outside was breathtaking. The adventure took a magical turn as we reached the cave entrance. We left our speedboat and stepped into small two-person canoes, gently gliding through a narrow passage. The air was cool and peaceful. Soft light reflected off the cave walls, creating a calm, almost dreamlike atmosphere. As we moved forward, the space slowly opened up into a breathtaking hidden lagoon. Surrounded by towering cliffs and untouched nature, it felt quiet, pure, and incredibly beautiful, like stepping into a secret paradise. Some doors only open to those who dare to paddle. And then, the moment everyone waits for. Kaufing Khan, famously known as James Bond Island. Seeing it in person is different from seeing it on a screen. The massive limestone karst stands defiantly in the middle of the emerald water, narrow at the bottom, wide at the top, like a giant's club. There's a famous leaning wall of rock where tourists gather to take the holding up the wall photo. I spent some time exploring the small caves, the narrow paths, local vendors selling jewelry, shells, and pearls. Even with the crowds, the energy here is magnetic. You realize you're standing in a piece of cinematic history. I took a swim, looking up at that famous rock, feeling the weight of 1,000,000 years it took for nature to carve such a masterpiece. The world is a stage, and this is the main act. For lunch, we headed to Koh Panyi, and this place blew my mind. It's built entirely on stilts over the ocean. Looking at it from the boat, it's hard to believe that hundreds of families live their entire lives here. They have schools, shops, and even a floating football pitch that became world famous. Walking on the wooden planks between the houses, you see the daily life of the local fishermen. The smell of fresh seafood and Thai spices fills the air. We had a massive lunch. Fresh fish, spicy soups, and tropical fruits. The resilience of the people here is incredible. It's a reminder that home isn't just a place on land, it's where your heart and your community are. Built on water, held by soul. The James Bond tour was so spectacular that I immediately booked a trip to the Phi Phi Islands the very next day. These islands are located in the Krabi province, and for many, they are the definition of paradise. Again, the 7 a.m. pickup, the pier, and the anticipation. But the boat ride to Phi Phi is longer and more intense. The waves of the open sea hit the hull of the boat. Bang, bang. You feel the raw power of the Andaman. Then it happened. As the jagged cliffs of the islands began to rise from the horizon, the atmosphere on the boat changed. Everyone was silent, staring at the sheer beauty of the limestone towers. We were entering one of the most famous marine parks in the world. The ocean has a voice, and it's calling your name. Our first stop was Maya Bay, the legendary location from the movie The Beach. For years, this place was closed to the public to let the coral reefs heal. Walking onto the sand now, you feel the difference. It's pristine. You have to walk through a beautiful jungle path surrounded by exotic plants and the sounds of birds before the bay reveals itself. The sand is as white as sugar, and the water a perfect turquoise. You aren't allowed to swim here anymore to protect the sharks and the coral. But just standing there, feeling the soft sand between your toes, it's enough. It's a place where nature has reclaimed its throne. Look, but don't touch the masterpiece. Next, we move to Pi Leh Bay, and honestly, I thought I was dreaming. This is a giant lagoon surrounded by 100-meter high limestone cliffs. There is only one narrow entrance, and once you are inside, the water turns into a glowing emerald green. The boat stopped, and we were allowed to jump in. Floating in that lagoon, looking up at the massive green cliffs and the bright blue sky, I felt so small, but so alive. The water is so salty that you float effortlessly. It's a natural swimming pool created by the gods. I spent half an hour just drifting, watching the sunlight play on the limestone walls. It's the kind of peace you can't find in a city. Leave the noise behind, find the glow. After the serenity of the lagoons, we arrived at Phi Phi Don. This is the largest island in the group, and the only one with permanent inhabitants. It's like a small, busy city, right in the middle of the ocean. There are no cars here, only narrow streets filled with shops, cafes, and currency exchanges. The island has a unique vibe, part backpacker haven, part luxury retreat. You can find everything from handmade tattoos to high-end Italian gelato. It was fascinating to see how life functions on an island so far from the mainland. The energy was infectious, and even though it was hot, the smiles of the locals made everything better. No roads, just the rhythm of the island. As we left the main island, we passed by Monkey Bay. These monkeys are famous for coming right down to the beach to meet the boats. They are acrobats, swinging from the trees and running along the sand. But the real mystery was the Viking cave, or Koh Panyi. The guide told us a fascinating story. Inside this cave, thousands of swifts build their nests using their own saliva. These nests are the key ingredient for the world-famous bird's nest soup, highly prized in Chinese medicine. Local men live in the cave for months, guarding the nests and climbing dangerous bamboo poles to harvest them. It's a life of extreme risk for a delicacy that costs thousands of dollars. The cave itself looks like something out of a pirate legend, dark and forbidding. Respect the risk or pay the price. Our final stop of the day was Bamboo Island. After the dramatic cliffs of Phi Phi, this island was a beautiful contrast. It's flat, covered in lush bamboo trees, and surrounded by a vast beach of white, powdery sand. The water is shallow and so clear, it looks like liquid glass. There are no rocks here, You can walk far into the ocean with the water only reaching your waist. It was the perfect place to relax after a long day. I sat under a tree, watching the waves gently lick the shore. The peace was absolute. As the sun began to lower in the sky, we boarded the boat for the long journey back to Phuket. I was exhausted, but my mind was overflowing with the colors and shapes of a world I had only seen in dreams. The dream is over, but the story has just begun. To truly see Phuket, you need 2 wheels.
I rented a motorcycle, a nimble ride that quickly became my best friend.
There's no feeling like riding along the coastal roads, with the wind in your face and the scent of jasmine and ocean spray in the air. The roads can be dangerous, yes, and you have to be careful. But the freedom is worth it. I stopped at every viewpoint, every small roadside stall selling fresh coconuts. It's the only way to find the spots that aren't on the tour bus routes. I felt like a local, navigating the curves of the mountains, watching the sunset follow me as I rode.
It was during one of these rides that I stumbled upon Anthony Freedom Cape. The afternoon sun was still high in the sky, bathing the entire coast in a brilliant golden light. I parked my motorcycle and walked down towards the water. It was a quiet, secluded beach, far from the crowds. The rocks here were shaped by thousands of years of waves, making them perfect for photography. I sat there for an hour, just listening to the tide and watching the sunlight dance on the surface of the water. It was one of those rare moments where everything feels perfect. After seeing the islands, I realized I needed to explore the interior and the hidden coastlines of Phuket itself. This island is massive, much bigger than most people think. I set off on my motorcycle. Riding around Phuket is an adventure in itself. You have to navigate steep mountain roads, busy local markets, and sudden tropical rainstorms. But having a motorcycle gave me the ultimate freedom. I could stop whenever I saw a beautiful view or a small fruit stand. I spent my days hopping from one beach to another, each one having its own personality. Phuket isn't just one destination. It's a collection of dozens of small worlds, each waiting to be discovered. 2 wheels and a world of secrets. My beach tour started with Bang Tao. This is one of the longest beaches in Phuket, and it's lined with some of the most luxurious resorts on the island. The sand is golden, and the pine trees offer plenty of shade. It's a great place for a long walk. Just a few minutes away is Surin Beach. Surin used to be famous for its beach clubs, but today it's much more peaceful. The water here is incredibly clear, especially during the high season. It feels sophisticated, yet natural. I spent an afternoon here just watching the waves and enjoying the upscale yet relaxed atmosphere. It's the kind of place where you feel like a VIP without even trying. Live the dream before you wake up. Moving south, I reached Kamala Beach. It's much quieter than Patong and is a favorite for families. The village around it has a very local feel, with small restaurants serving authentic Thai food. Then there's Karon Beach. Karon is famous for its singing sand. The sand is so fine and rich in silica that it makes a squeaking sound when you walk on it. The waves here can be quite powerful. It's a popular spot for surfers during the monsoon season. I stood on the shore, feeling the spray of the ocean on my face, realizing that even on a tourist island, the power of nature is always present. Karon is vast, giving you a sense of space that you don't always find in Phuket. Listen to the sand before the tide turns.
Right next to Karon are Kata and Kata Noi. Kata is a vibrant, fun beach with plenty of activities and great surf schools. It has a youthful energy that makes you want to grab a board and jump in. But if you want something more exclusive, you go to Kata Noi. It's a smaller, more private beach hidden behind a hill. The water here is stunning, and the beach is framed by luxury villas and lush greenery. I remember sitting at a viewpoint overlooking both beaches, watching the surfers catch the last waves of the day as the sky turned golden. It was a picture-perfect moment that captured the essence of the Thai tropical life. Ride the wave or watch the gold fade. As I reached the southern tip of the island, the landscape became more rugged and dramatic. Nai Han Beach is a hidden gem. It's a favourite among locals because it's protected from massive developments. The water is calm and perfect for swimming. And there's a freshwater lake right behind the beach where people go for runs and picnics. Just a short drive away is Yanui Beach, a tiny rocky cove that is one of the best spots for snorkeling right off the shore. You can rent a kayak here and row out to a small island nearby. The water is teeming with life. Colourful corals and schools of bright fish. It's a place that feels raw and real, far from the neon lights of the city. Dive deep or stay on the shore. The choice is yours. If you think Phuket is only about beaches, you're wrong. You must visit Phuket Old Town. It has no sea, but it has a soul that is hundreds of years old. The architecture here is Sino-Portuguese. Colourful two-storey houses with intricate decorations and narrow balconies. Walking down Talang Road, you feel like you've stepped into a time machine. The streets are filled with quiet cafes, art galleries, and small museums. On Sundays, the whole area turns into a massive street market with some of the best street food in Thailand. It's a place for families, for thinkers, and for anyone who wants to see the cultural roots of this island. It was one of the highlights of my stay, showing me that Phuket is a rich tapestry of history and heritage. The waves fade, but the history stands. And now, as I promised at the beginning, it's time for the secrets. The first is Hua Beach. This place is an absolute ghost coast. I found it purely by accident, exploring a dead-end road on my map. The entrance is hidden between private gates and thick jungle.
You have to walk down a rocky path, wondering if you're even allowed to be there.
But then the trees open up to a small, perfect beach. During my 2 hours there, I didn't see a single other tourist. The water is like liquid crystal, and the silence is only broken by the sound of the wind in the trees. It's the ultimate escape, a piece of the old Phuket that hasn't been touched by the modern world. I've shown you the door. Now you have to walk through it. The second secret is even harder to find. It's the Freedom Beach Overlook. Most people take a taxi to Freedom Beach. When you get there, it's crowded, especially along the shoreline, but it's actually great for a refreshing swim. But me? I found a secret way. I followed an ATV track and then a very steep, narrow jungle path. It's a physical challenge. You will be sweating and you will be tired. But suddenly, you reach the top of a cliff. There are a few small wooden shacks there, cold water, cold beer, and then the view. Looking down at the turquoise curve of Freedom Beach from hundreds of meters above, the boats, they look like tiny toys in the water. It's a perspective that 99% of tourists never see. It's a moment of pure triumph, realizing that the best things in life are the ones you have to work for. Don't follow the crowd, follow the climb. During these 2 months, I realized that Phuket isn't just about the places, it's about the people and the food. I spent countless evenings at small street stalls, eating pad thai, som tum, and mango sticky rice. I talked to the vendors, learnt a few words of Thai, and felt the genuine warmth of the land of smiles. The Thai people have a philosophy called Sanuk. It means making everything in life fun. You see it in the way they laugh, even in the middle of a rainstorm. It's a lesson in living in the moment. The food isn't just fuel. It's an explosion of flavor that tells the story of the land. My 2 months were a culinary journey as much as a physical one. As I packed my bags for the final time, I looked out of my balcony at the sunset. My heart was heavy. 2 months felt like a lifetime and a heartbeat at the same time. I've seen the glitz of Patong and the silence of the hidden caves. I've met people from every corner of the globe and found parts of myself I didn't know existed. Phuket has a way of getting under your skin. It's not just a holiday, it's a transformation. As I headed to the airport, I knew one thing for certain. I will be back. I'm doing everything in my power to return and stay here forever.